If the world collapsed today, would you know which country to flee to? Imagine the chaos, sirens echoing through the streets, the latest panicked news broadcasts, borders being closed one by one, and the first zombies already taking over the big cities. Airports are overcrowded, flights are cancelled, roads are blocked, and you, with a backpack on your back and just a few minutes to decide, need to answer a crucial question: where to run? In the midst of global collapse, some places still offer a real chance of survival, and in this video you'll discover the 10 safest countries to survive a zombie apocalypse. We use criteria like strategic geography, low population density, hostile climate for those infected, and military structures ready for the worst. And make no mistake, some of these countries may be closer to you than you think. But before revealing the list, take advantage and subscribe to the channel, because here you will learn where to hide, how to survive, and what to do when chaos begins, before it really starts. And if this type of content makes sense to you, leave a like so this video can reach more people who, like you, don't want to be caught by surprise when everything falls apart. Now tell me in the comments, which country do you think would actually be prepared for a zombie apocalypse, or which one do you never would you choose to try to survive? I read everything, and I will answer the best ones. Now get ready, because country number 4 on our list may seem like paradise, but it has a dark reason that makes it even more strategic than it seems. Iceland, tucked away in the North Atlantic, Iceland is the kind of place that seems tailor-made to withstand a zombie apocalypse. An isolated country with a population of just over 370,000 people, surrounded by freezing oceans, hostile volcanic terrain, and a climate that zombies would probably hate. Geography here is your greatest ally. Imagine a virus trying to spread in a place where there are more sheep than humans, where entire villages are miles apart, separated by fjords, lava fields, and icy mountains. Iceland isn't just cold, it's strategically cold. The harsh climate and constant wind make it difficult for any decomposing creature to move and survive. Furthermore, Iceland has a history of social stability, with an educated, organized, and resilient population. The country has an excellent civil defense structure, even without an official army. And as if that weren't enough, much of the country's energy is renewable and self-sufficient, based on geothermal and hydroelectric plants. That is, even in a global collapse, Iceland would continue to function for a long time. While dense cities like New York or Sao Paulo would collapse in a matter of hours with the first zombie outbreak, Reykjavik and its surrounding areas could maintain control, contain local outbreaks, and completely isolate themselves from the rest of the world. And let's face it, in a world where zombies rule the streets, isolation is a blessing in disguise. Now think with me. If you had to choose between facing a crowd of infected people in the hot streets of a metropolis or crossing an icy and silent plain in Iceland with volcanoes in the background and absolute peace all around, which would you choose? New Zealand, on the other side of the world between mountains, valleys, and untouched beaches, is New Zealand, another destination that looks like it came out of a zombie survival manual. The country is made up of 2 large islands, which already creates a natural barrier against any biological or infectious threat. And in the context of a zombie apocalypse, this geographic barrier could be the difference between life and death. With a population of just over 5 million inhabitants, New Zealand has one of the lowest demographic densities in the world, which means fewer people, less panic, and fewer vectors of contamination. Furthermore, the nation is known for its efficient healthcare system, its stable government, and its culture of preparedness. Yes, there is a growing community of survivalists here who already consider this type of scenario. Another important detail is the country's military and security structure, which is highly modern and well-trained. The New Zealand Armed Forces have rapid response capabilities and have already carried out containment exercises in extreme scenarios. And as much as this sounds exaggerated, imagine how useful it will be when the first infections start to spread. While overpopulated countries like India or Brazil would face massive outbreaks with immediate logistical difficulties, New Zealand could implement regional quarantines, protect its islands, and completely cut off contact with the outside world. Not to mention that many areas of the country, especially in the mountainous regions of the South Island, are difficult to access, perfect for those looking for a natural hiding place. And do you want to know something interesting? During the global pandemic, Several billionaires bought remote properties in New Zealand as a plan B for possible collapses. Is it a coincidence? Norway, nestled between fjords, forests and snow-capped mountains, is much more than a charming tourist destination. In a world taken over by zombies, it transforms into a natural survival fortress. The country is cold, vast, and sparsely populated, three essential characteristics when thinking about reducing the spread of any mass infection. Furthermore, Norway has one of the highest social well-being indices in the world, and its medical, logistical, and military infrastructure is extremely efficient. The nation is among the most developed and prepared on the planet. The population, in turn, has a culture of discipline, organization, and resilience, crucial attributes when civilization begins to crumble. Another point that makes Norway a clear choice: its underground reserves. Have you ever heard of the Svalbard Global Seed Vault? It's an underground vault built to withstand wars, natural disasters, and yes, even an apocalypse. It stores seeds from virtually every agricultural crop on the planet, protected against collapse. This proves that the country is already thinking about long-term survival. While cities like Los Angeles or Paris would suffer complete supply collapses in less than a week, many areas of Norway could maintain a near-normal lifestyle for months, perhaps years. Furthermore, there are small villages with access to the sea, abundant fishing and renewable energy sources, which makes it possible to live with almost total autonomy. And if you're wondering, but what about zombies in the cold? Think about it. The decomposing human body cannot survive sub-zero temperatures for long. The climate itself would already be one of its greatest allies in the fight for survival: Switzerland. Switzerland is already known for its neutrality in international conflicts, but in the scenario of a zombie apocalypse, this neutrality becomes self-sufficiency, and that's worth its weight in gold. Located in the heart of Europe, surrounded by alpine mountains, the country offers natural and physical refuges that are difficult to invade. Now imagine this combined with one of the highest civil preparedness rates on the planet. Yes, Switzerland is famous for its underground bunkers, many of which were built during the Cold War and are still fully operational. It is estimated that the majority of the Swiss population would have shelter in private or community bunkers in the event of an emergency. This means that if chaos erupts, millions of people could protect themselves underground with supplies of water, food, medicine, and energy. This is not theory, it is national policy. Geography also helps. With mountainous terrain, deep lakes, and hidden valleys, Switzerland is a true natural labyrinth. In times of collapse, these characteristics become defensive. It is much more difficult for hordes of zombies to invade high ground or isolated villages in the Alps than it is to spread chaos across flat, densely populated areas. While megacities like London or Mexico City would suffer from overpopulation, urban chaos, and lack of control, Swiss villages would have protocols, weapons regulated by law, and residents ready to defend themselves, all without leaving the country. And here's an idea. Have you ever thought about living in a real bunker with solar panels, filtered water, sources, and even radio connections with other bases? If there is a place in the world where this already exists and is functional, it is Switzerland. Canada is huge. There are almost 10 million square kilometers of territory, much of it still untouched. This vastness, combined with the cold climate and low population density, makes the country one of the best natural hiding places in a zombie apocalypse. The further away from the crowds, the lower the chances of contagion. And Canada has plenty of room for that. Much of the population is concentrated in a few cities to the south. This means that there are thousands of regions in the north and west of the country that are practically uninhabited, where it would be possible to set up refuges, self-sufficient villages, or even survivalist communities without external interference. Furthermore, the country has a solid military structure and one of the best supply networks on the planet. During crises, such as the pandemic, Canada has demonstrated resilience, organization, and support for the population. Now imagine this adapted to a zombie scenario: well-distributed resources, controlled borders, and a government capable of reacting. Want another positive point? The climate. The Canadian winter may be brutal for us, but it's even worse for zombies. Low temperatures slow movement, freeze decomposing tissues, and make mass movement difficult. This means that while tropical regions would be infested, Canada would have safe, frozen zones for months. And here's the question: If you could choose between hiding in the Canadian mountains or facing an apocalypse in the middle of the Brazilian summer, what would you choose? Finland. If there is a country that combines geographic isolation, resilient culture, and a people accustomed to resisting the cold and darkness, it is Finland. Located in the far north of Europe, neighboring Russia, Sweden, and Norway, Finland is one of the most strategic places in the world in a zombie apocalypse scenario, and many people underestimate that. With a population of just 5.5 million inhabitants spread over an immense territory, Finland offers space, silence, and time. Three fundamental elements for those who want to escape crowds and stay away from initial outbreaks. The dense forests, thousands of lakes and tundra regions make the country a true natural labyrinth where, if you want, you can disappear for months without being found. In addition to geography, Finland is one of the most prepared countries in the world in terms of education, technology, and civil security. Finnish culture values preparation and discipline. During the Cold War, bunkers were built in many cities, especially in Helsinki, with the capacity to house more than half of the urban population. These shelters remain operational to this day. Another plus point, the extreme climate. Long, dark, freezing winters can seem scary to most people, but in the context of an apocalypse, it's exactly this kind of environment that plays against zombies. Decomposition speeds up in hot climates, but in places like Lapland, bodies freeze quickly, which drastically decreases the risk of infection or mass attacks. And there's more. Finland's healthcare system is excellent, and its logistics network can supply even the most remote villages. In a collapsed world, where big cities become epicenters of panic, Finland offers a calm, organized, and highly efficient alternative, while chaos would engulf metropolises like New Delhi or Cairo in less than 24 hours. In Finland, communities could protect themselves with planning, radio communication, abundant natural resources, and of course, lots of silence, which is golden when you're hiding from zombies guided by sound and movement. Australia. Now let's go straight to the Southern Hemisphere, where Australia stands out as a true natural fortress against any global threat, including a zombie apocalypse. Surrounded by oceans, with deserts in the interior and well-organized coastal cities, Australia is a country that combines geographic isolation with military power, technology, and a culture that values emergency preparedness. The fact that it is a continental island already places it in a strategic position. Access to the country can be completely controlled in the event of a global collapse. Sea and air borders, when tightly closed, make the entry of infected people practically impossible. What's more, Australia has practical experience in this. During pandemics such as COVID-19, the country was one of the fastest to implement border control and outbreak containment effectively. With a population of around 26 million people, the majority concentrated in coastal regions, Australia has vast areas in the center of the country that are almost uninhabited, where it would be possible to establish off-grid communities, bunkers, or survival villages with access to natural resources and a safe distance from large crowds. Furthermore, the climate varies a lot. Some regions are hot and dry, which can make it difficult for decomposing zombies to proliferate. Others, further south, offer a balance between temperature and humidity, ideal for cultivation, access to water and shelter. Australia also has well-equipped military reserves, as well as a practical-minded and adaptable population. The territory is home to hundreds of smaller islands close to the coast, many of which are uninhabited, and which could serve as strategic refuge points, with limited access and natural protection. Imagine setting up your survival base on a private island, surrounded by water, with supplies, solar energy, and constant surveillance. This is not only possible in Australia, it already exists. Japan interior. You might even think, but Japan is overpopulated. And he's right, in part. Tokyo, Osaka, and other major Japanese cities would be a nightmare at the start of a zombie apocalypse. But the interior of Japan tells a completely different and strategic story. The mountainous geography, hundreds of small islands and remote villages, make the rural Japan a paradise for those seeking isolation and survival. Think about the following. Islands like Hokkaido or small towns in Okinawa are difficult to access, with small populations and a high level of organization. The Japanese population as a whole is extremely disciplined, and in moments of crisis, this discipline becomes a powerful weapon. They know how to act quickly, follow protocols, stay calm. This reduces chaos and increases the chances of containing localized outbreaks. Furthermore, Japan is one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. Many villages already operate with solar panels, automated agriculture and radio communication, meaning that even though they are isolated, they still function. Not to mention the easy access to fishing, drinking water, and safe areas in mountainous areas. While metropolises like Bangkok or Manila would become minefields of infected people, the Japanese interior would have the real capacity to create resilient micro-communities with natural barriers and military organization to contain any threat. Have you ever thought about living in an ancient temple, among mountains, with access to nature, surveillance networks, and a community that knows exactly what to do? In Japan, this isn't just possible, it's cultural. Argentina, Patagonia. In the south of South America, there is a vast, cold, isolated, and practically untouched region called Patagonia. It covers parts of Chile and Argentina. But here we're going to focus on the Argentine side, because if you're looking for a place to disappear off the map and survive the zombie apocalypse, this is the perfect setting. With landscapes reminiscent of Iceland and Canada, Argentine Patagonia offers everything a survivor needs. Very low population density, cold and dry climate, mountainous areas, crystal clear lakes, dense forests, and a huge distance from large urban centers. Here, nature already imposes a physical barrier to any attempt at mass advancement of infected people. The closest cities are small, and access logistics are complex, which makes any rapid spread difficult. In a collapse scenario, this plays completely in your favor. Furthermore, the local culture is subsistence. Many families already live self-sufficiently, with planting, animal husbandry, and exchanges between communities. This means that even without electricity or internet networks, it would still be possible to live, and live well. While Buenos Aires, for example, would be in complete chaos in a matter of hours, towns like El Chaltén or San Martín de los Andes would have time to organize, protect themselves, and maintain local control. Imagine waking up surrounded by mountains, lakes, absolute silence, while the rest of the world fights for survival. It sounds like a movie, but in Patagonia, this can become reality. Greenland. Greenland is the last country on our list, and perhaps the most radical, but it is also without a doubt one of the safest. Located in the Arctic, with its vast icy and almost uninhabited expanse, Greenland is a natural shield against any type of mass infection. The weather conditions here are extreme. Most of the territory is covered in ice and snow year-round, which makes the spread of zombies practically impossible. The intense cold quickly freezes any infected body, preventing movement and active decomposition. With a population of just 56,000 inhabitants spread across small coastal villages, Greenland offers the maximum level of isolation possible on the planet. Furthermore, many of these villages have direct access to the sea, fishing sources, and locally generated energy. While tropical countries would become hell within a few days, Greenland would remain cold, silent, and safe. What's more, its minimal dependence on imports and simple living system make it highly resistant to global collapses. After all this, you realize that the most obvious places are not always the safest, and some of these countries may even seem unlikely. But in a world dominated by zombies, the logic is reversed. Now tell me, which of these countries would you choose to hide in? Or which one do you think is overrated and wouldn't even last a week? Write here in the comments. And if you want to provoke even more discussion, use phrases like, "In Greenland I trust," or "My refuge would be in Chi." New Zealand. I'd love to read what you think. While many worry about hoarding weapons or reinforcing windows, true survivors know that geography is actually the most powerful weapon in a zombie apocalypse. Being in the right place, far from large cities, surrounded by natural barriers with access to water, food, and a small population, can be what separates life from death when chaos takes over the planet. And what we saw today is that countries with a cold climate, isolated territory, low population density, and a culture of preparedness come out far ahead. Some of these places seem unlikely, others are ready-made, but they all share the same deciding factor: the ideal environment to survive while the rest of the world collapses. If you've come this far, it's because you really care about your survival, and that already puts you ahead of a lot of people. So don't waste time. Subscribe to the channel now because every week I bring content that could literally save your life in a zombie apocalypse scenario. If this video held you until the end, leave a like. It shows YouTube that this content deserves to reach future survivors like you. And it does the following. Comment below, I have already chosen my refuge. If you already have a favorite country on the list, or I'm still deciding if you're unsure. I read all the comments and will respond to the best ones. Now click on the next video that appears on the screen. I'll see you there.